In this video, I'll be breaking down the 5 biggest lessons I've learned, the tips and tricks that separate the meh essays from wow. Now that's a story that would get them into Harvard. Tip number 1, the golden ratio. First, let's begin with the longer essays. I'm talking about the Common App, UC PIQs, really any essay that's over 250 words. The golden ratio of college essays. 20% problem, 60% solution, and 20% reflection. Now, when I say problem, I'm not just talking about trauma or tragedy. A lot of those details you think you need to set the stage, trust me, you probably don't. Trim them ruthlessly. Most essays, all you need are 2 to 3 sentences of really good action-packed conflict, and then instantly dive into the solution. Now, here at the Elevated School, when we say solution, again, we're talking about action. What we really mean is proof. Admission officers, they want to see you doing things, not just reacting. Solution really boils down to 2 things: you growing and or you helping other people. The overwhelming majority of your essay should focus on solution. Finally, we have the reflection, the takeaway. But this is where most students fumble the ball. Don't just explain who you became, explain who you're becoming. Admission officers need to know the answer to this question. How will you contribute to our campus? Not a bad idea to end with 1 or 2 sentences answering that question directly. Tip number 2. Is your solution impressive enough? Since solution is the meat of your essay, let's double down. First off, relax. You don't need to have cured cancer or built a rocket ship to Mars in order to have a really impressive solution. Here's what really matters: intensity and insight. Exhibit A, me. In my own essay, I wrote about toiling in my parents' Chinese restaurant and, really not glamorous. But that was the point. I was stuck in the kitchen, 14-hour days, 7 days a week. One time, a few of my Miami friends even came and visited me. They wanted to invite me to watch the Dolphins game, but I had literal mountains of rice to fry. And I knew if I left, my injured father would take my place. That story and sacrifice, that's what made the story impressive. Here's another example. One of the students we worked with in previous years, she got into Cornell writing about sailing. Already a pretty fresh topic, but she made it even more special by discussing her intellectual curiosity. She fixed her dad's sailboat by day and studied aerodynamics and buoyancy at night. The boat was this vehicle, this metaphor for building her own foundation in physics, her intended major. Catch my drift? This third example is my favorite though. One of our students from last cycle, our most successful ever, Asian dude who didn't get rejected anywhere, he wrote about baking cookies. He experimented with like 24 different cookie recipes before moving on to protein bars since he was really interested in nutrition, which makes sense. It adds up since he was a pre-med major. That blend of creativity and curiosity. Now that's a sweet combo. Number 3, I see this one all the time. Weak ash reflections. I've read so many reflections which honestly sound like they could have been written by my 5th grade cousin. I learned the meaning of hard work and resilience. I hope to bring the spirit of curiosity with me into my future college community. If your reflection sounds like it could have been written by Kevin from Florida or Jimmy from California, it's not personal enough, it's not unique enough to you yet. Here's how to fix it. Pair these more classic values with more contemporary, surprising ones. You can mix timeless traits like perseverance, curiosity, or empathy with deeper ideas like free will, stewardship, redemption. I had to write down this story because it was so dope. But remember that student from earlier? He noticed that all these protein bar brands at the store, even though they seemed different, they were really just owned by 3 or 4 conglomerates. So by making his own protein bars, he wasn't just baking or exercising curiosity. He was also exercising autonomy. He turned his kitchen into a laboratory and he controlled what went in, learned the chemistry behind it, and discovered how taste is connected to science and choice. Now, this is no longer a story like, hey, I showed my curiosity through baking. We upgrade the messaging, turning it into something like this. Through baking, I realized free will isn't only about what we choose, but how we understand what we consume. Now that's deep. That's the kind of line that makes the admissions officer go, damn, let this guy in, let him cook. By the way, if you want to see this kid's entire profile, just visit our site, elevated.school, enter your email, and we'll send you a cheat sheet with a bunch of students who were admitted in just the last 1 or 2 cycles. Definitely check it out, totally free of charge. Tip number 4, pick the right ingredients. Writing a college essay is actually a lot like cooking. If you throw a bunch of random ingredients into a pan and just hope it turns out great, good luck. Here's what to avoid. The overcooked topics, music competitions, sports injuries or health mishaps, mission trips, any sort of trauma dumping. Instead, use these underrated quality ingredients. I'm talking about family traditions, working a menial job, stories about your race, culture, ethnicity, religion. Once you have the right ingredients, now it's time to pick the right recipe. We have a ton of these formulas, recipes, proven story structures right here for free on the Elevated channel. Check them out. The montage essay, the motif essay, the double problem solution essay. Actually, speaking of which, if you're just starting your essay now, I would really recommend the double problem solution recipe, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's 2 problems, 2 solutions. The first problem solution focuses on a more personal issue and discusses your own personal growth, whereas the second problem and the second solution tends to focus more on outward community impact. Why does it work? Well, because it's basically a condensed version of Freytag's pyramid, which, yes, again, it's a storytelling recipe that has worked for 500 years. But Kevin, does stealing this formula make my story formulaic? No, that makes no sense. That's like saying you can't make pasta just because somebody else already did that and made noodles. Everyone's sauce is different. Your story, your flavor, your voice, that's all unique to you. So, in sum, steal this recipe like an artist and then make it your own. Tip number 5, avoid tunnel vision. Every year I see so many students obsess over their Common App and then completely neglect their supplementals. Big mistake. The supplementals matter just as much, sometimes even more. Or even worse, students ignore their rec letters. Guys, your teachers and counselors are your hidden allies. You can actually influence what they write. How? Well, by feeding them great material. Some schools require this, but if yours doesn't, I would proactively send your teachers a brag sheet. This is a document that includes key classroom moments, anecdotes from extracurriculars, personal struggles, additional family context. You know what? Just because I love you guys so much, here is an example paragraph from one of our students who got into UPenn early. He wrote this in his brag sheet. While most of our kids come from Chinese backgrounds, many of our kids have little to no exposure to Chinese customs or traditions. He's talking about a Chinese cultural organization that he leads. For instance, twins Robin and Violet had never seen a mooncake, let alone try one themselves. Knowing the challenge it may be to these children to step into a room full of foods and activities they don't understand, through my time on NCHS's exec board, I've made efforts to make these events as welcoming as possible. I specifically remember siblings, Leah and Jacob. By explaining the ingredients of dumplings to them with metaphors for ravioli, I gently encouraged the siblings to try dumplings for the very first time. By the time Dad came to pick them up, they'd eaten a whole plate and excitedly asked him to make dumplings at home. By the way, I just made a video about this, but talking about race, culture, ethnicity, service, it's one of the most goated topics of all time. So check that out, write about it, talk about it, get your recommenders to mention it. You guys want to stand out? Here's the secret sauce. If you tell one story in your essays and your recommenders echo it, they say the same story from a different perspective, that's not repetitive, that's cohesive, consistent. When different parts of your application are all singing the same song, yeah, the admission officer is gonna pick up on that tune. By the way, if you want your essays professionally edited or reviewed by our team, visit our site, elevated.school/editmyessay. You can even use this code YouTube15 to get 15% off your first purchase. If you guys enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you could just like, subscribe, leave a helpful comment. And yeah, I'm kind of curious, which tip did you find the most interesting, useful, and why? Let me know below. Until next time, my dear virtual little sibling, peace.